Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to connect up a PLC to the computer, and I'm going to use my RSLinx connection guide, and I'm going to use what the lab tells me to do. So in my case, what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to go ahead and connect up a 1756 L1A control logic processor, which is a 5550. We don't have a 5550, so you don't want to necessarily follow what I'm doing here. I'm just trying to show you how you would do it. So the first thing I do is I identify the processor. It's a 5550. Okay. Check. The next thing I do is I need to determine what type of cable I need based on the processor. So this processor, if I look inside, it has an RS232 9-pin port. So I'm going to obviously be needing a RS232 connection. Okay. Next, my computer does not have a COM port in it. I need to somehow get this RS232 plugged into the USB. So what I'm going to need is a USB to serial port adapter, right? I'm going from USB in my computer, and somehow it's got to get into this serial port right here, RS232. So the next thing I do is I'm going to go to my RSLinx communications reference manual. This is part of the lab, and I'm going to try and figure out which one of these I need. Configuring a COM port connections on a computer, possibly, because we are using the COM port here because it's a serial connection. Let's just think about that. Connecting a PLC over a USB to Ethernet adapter. That CPU definitely was not an Ethernet adapter. It had a serial port on it. So I'm trying to get USB to serial. Okay. Connecting a PLC over a serial port or USB to serial adapter. Well, that sounds like this might be promising. So I have a serial port on the 5550, and I'm trying to get it to USB. So it says if I'm going to do this, this sounds like this is the procedure I need. Okay, so step one, I've identified the processor so that I could get the cable. Next, I identified the procedure here to follow, and then we're going to move on with the procedure. Okay, so the procedure tells me to start RSLinx, which is the control software for Allen Bradley. Okay, and the first thing I need to do is I need to have a 1747 UIC cable. Okay, I've got one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my control panel. I'm going to my system. I'm going to go to my device manager, and I'm going to go into my comms, and I'm going to see that I don't have a serial communication cable there. So I'm going to go ahead and plug the cable in, the USB. I just plugged in a USB, and it says I now have a serial port on COM7. Okay, so that's the adapter, a USB to serial port adapter on COM7. Okay, so there we go. So now I'm going to come back to RSLinx, and I'm going to go to Communications, Configure Drivers. The driver, based on what the procedure told me, was I needed a UIC for this case, which is not a, this one. There it is. It's a 485 UIC device. And I'm going to add it. It wants to know which COM port it was. Well, I just checked. It went in and it was on COM7, and then I click OK, and now I'm running. If I hooked up the PLC, I would be able to expand this right here, and then my PLC would show up there. But I don't have a PLC here because I'm just doing it based on what I saw. I picked one off the internet. I don't actually have one hooked up. So that's kind of the procedure for hooking up a PLC.